In this video, we are going to go through Microsoft Sentinel complete hands-on lab practical exercise. We will go through Microsoft Sentinel's product capabilities, features, and multiple scenarios. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. In the first lab, we're going to set up the environment. The first activity is to set up the Microsoft Sentinel workspace. So let's go and do that. I'm on my Azure portal. What we are going to do right now is we're going to deploy our Sentinel training lab solution, which we are going to use in the subsequent lab series. You can perform all of these activities by creating a free Azure trial subscription. So go to the global search box and type in Microsoft Sentinel. So what I'm going to show right now is to create a brand new Microsoft Sentinel workspace. If you already have a Sentinel workspace, you don't have to create this one. So select that. Because I don't have one, I'm gonna click on create. So click on create. The first step is to create a new workspace. You can choose to add Microsoft Sentinel to an existing log analytics workspace or build a brand new one. So we are creating a brand new one. So click on create a new workspace. So under creating a brand new workspace, first select a subscription. If you do happen to have multiple subscription, make sure you select the right one. For resource group, you can select an existing one or you can create a brand new one. So I'm going to click on create new. I'm going to call it Sentinel resource group or RG. Click OK. Next, you have to provide the instance detail. So give a workspace name. I'm going to call it Sentinel workspace. And the next step is to pick a region where you would like to host all of these services. So I'm going to pick Australia East as my region. So we are not going to worry about tag or anything else. So simply click on review and create. This goes through a validation process. After you get the validation pass message, click on create. This creation would take ideally a few seconds. As you can see that now the deployment is in progress and it is completed. So you can click on this notification icon to check the latest status of your deployment. So Sentinel workspace is deployed in the resource group Sentinel resource group we created. After the deployment, you would be able to see the newly created workspace in this panel. If you do happen to have multiple workspaces, make sure you select the appropriate one. After making the selection, click on add. After this process, you would be able to use your Microsoft Sentinel workspace. This would ideally take up to 2 to 3 minutes. Alright, so we have added our Sentinel workspace. The next exercise is we are going to deploy the Microsoft Sentinel training lab solution. So let's go and do that. So go back to your Azure portal and go back to your home. One more time, go to the global search box and type in Microsoft Sentinel training lab solution. And we are looking into this solution not under services. Make sure you select marketplace. Under marketplace, you would be able to find this solution. So what we are going to do is we are going to deploy the training lab solution into our existing workspace. This is going to ingest pre-recorded data, approximately about 20 MB, and create several other artifacts that will be used during this exercise. So select that. You can read about this solution over here, but I will leave that up to you. So what we are going to do is we are going to click on create. So first we need to fill some basics. Just like how we created the workspace, make sure you select the right subscription. Under resource group, I'm going to pick the one which we created for the first workspace creation, that is Sentinel resource group. And this is another important step. So here under workspace, if you do happen to have multiple one, make sure the one you want to integrate with. So I'm going to select the Sentinel workspace we created. For this environment, we are not going to make any changes under workbooks, analytics, playbooks, etc. All we are going to do is we are going to validate the environment. After the validation, we are going to simply click on create. So this deployment process would ideally take 15 minutes. And if you are doing it yourself, please make sure you give at least 15 to 20 minutes for all the ingested data is ready for you for proceeding to the next steps. Alright, so our deployment is completed. So let's go back to our search page and click on Microsoft Sentinel and select your Sentinel workspace. Let me quickly reduce the size so that you can see more data on my page. Alright, so under the Sentinel homepage, now we should be able to see some ingested data and several recent incidents. So if you've been following me and you don't see these details immediately, give yourself at least 10 to 15 minutes so that these incidents are automatically created for you. Now we have our training data solution deployed completely and it is working. The next exercise we are going to do is configuring Microsoft Sentinel playbook. So let's go and do that. So what we are going to do is we are going to configure the playbook, and that we are going to use it in the lab, and this is going to allow the playbook to access Sentinel. So let's go back to resource groups, select the resource group we created. I'm going to quickly reduce the size. What we are going to find is we are going to find the API connection resource. So that's the first one. This is called Azure Sentinel get geo from IP and target incident. So click on that. So on the API page on the left hand side, go under general, click on edit API connection. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to authorize. So click on authorize, and this is going to open a new window to choose an account. So make sure you choose the account which you used to sign into your Azure subscription. After you get this authorization successful message, please click on save. Alright, so we have successfully configured the Sentinel playbook. Now that we have completed lab 1, let's go to lab 2. In this lab exercise, we are going to learn how to enable data connectors in Microsoft Sentinel to bring alerts and other telemetry from different sources. First exercise is we are going to enable Azure Activity Data Connector. So let's go and do that. Let's go back to home, click on Microsoft Sentinel and select the workspace. This time on the left hand side, scroll down until you find configuration. Under configuration, click on data connectors. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to enable Azure Activity Data Connector, and this connector will bring into your Microsoft Sentinel workspace all the audit events for actions performed in your Azure subscription. Please note that to do this exercise in your Azure subscription, you need to have at least a reader permission to your subscription, and that enables you to stream all the logs you want into Microsoft Azure Sentinel. So after going into the data connectors, on the search box, type in activity, and that will return a lot of values. So what we are going to do is we are going to select the Azure activity. So click on that. When you select this Azure activity, that will open another Azure activity page. So you can read about what this activity does. So Azure Activity Log is a subscription log that provides insight into subscription level events that occur in Azure, including events from Azure Resource Manager operational data, service health events, write operations on resources in your subscription. So scroll down and click on Open Connector page. In the Azure Activity Connector page, go to option 2. The first option is disconnect your subscription from the legacy method. We are not going to do that. Scroll down until you find the second option, which is connect your subscriptions through diagnostic settings, new pipeline. This method leverages Azure policy and it brings many improvements compared to the old method. And what we're going to do is we are going to click on launch Azure policy assignment wizard. Click on that. The first step is to select the scope. On the scope, click on this ellipsis and choose the right subscription. Please note that if you have owner permission on management group level, you can assign this policy to configure collection of Azure activity logs from all the subscription under the management group. If you want to choose the resource group, you can choose that. It's completely optional. For this exercise, I'm going to choose the resource group we created for the Sentinel and click on select. If you do want to make any sort of exclusions, you can select this exclusion box and mark your exclusions. So we're not going to do that. Under basics, I'm going to leave everything as it is. Policy enforcement is enabled and you can see which user have done it. So let's go back up and this time hit on parameters. On the primary log analytics workspace, select this drop down and select the workspace we created for Sentinel and make sure you uncheck this to see the effects. So the effect is deploy if not exist and enable logs is true. We are not going to make any other changes under remediation or non-compliance message. At the bottom, click on review and create. Make sure you keep an eye on the notification after you get the role assignment creation succeeded message. Click on next steps. Here you will be able to see what content is available for the telemetry that is brought into Sentinel by this connector, like workbooks, query samples and analytics rules. So it is totally normal if you don't immediately see the connector showing as connected and in green. Also, each subscription has a maximum of 5 destinations for its activity logs. If this limit is already reached, the policy created as part of this exercise won't be able to add an additional destination to your Microsoft Sentinel workspace. So that completed the first exercise of enabling Azure Activity Data Connector. The next exercise is we're going to enable Azure Defender Data Connector. And this Azure Defender is now known as Microsoft Defender. So let's go and do that. So let's go back to the home page and select Microsoft Sentinel. Select your workspace. On the left hand side, scroll down. Under connection, select data connectors. This time we're going to type Defender. So in this exercise, we are going to learn how to enable Microsoft Defender for Cloud Data Connector. What we're going to do is we're going to select Microsoft Defender for Cloud. This connector allows you to stream your security alerts from Microsoft Defender for Cloud into Microsoft Sentinel. So you can view Defender data in workbooks, query it to produce alerts, and investigate and respond to incidents. So scroll down and click on Open Connector page and scroll down till you see your subscription. Again, you need to have a subscription rights to connect it. So if you do happen to have multiple subscriptions or rights to multiple subscription, you would be able to see it over here. So what we are going to do is we are going to select this checkbox, and if you pay attention here, now it is turned blue. So if I uncheck it, this will turn gray. Do the checkbox and click on connect and hit OK. Now if you scroll down, you can see that bidirectional sync is completely enabled now. So now you can click on the next steps, and this is where you would be able to explore what content is available for this connector. Again, we have workbooks, query samples, analytics templates, etc. Alright, so let me quickly go back to my Microsoft Sentinel, and you can see that there is only one connected. So we have actually connected 2 connectors. So let me quickly refresh it. Now you can see that we have 2 data connectors connected out of 123. Now that we have enabled both Azure Activity and Azure Defender, which is Microsoft Defender, the last exercise on this lab 2 is to enable Threat Intelligence Tax 2 Data Connector. So let's go and do that. So in this exercise, I'm going to show you how to enable the Threat Intelligence Taxi Data Connector. This connector allows you to send threat indicators from taxi servers to Microsoft Sentinel. And these threat indicators can include IP addresses, domains, URL, and file hashes. So let's go to Microsoft Sentinel. Click on Sentinel Workspace. On the left hand side, under Configuration, click on Data Connectors. Under Data Connections, search for Taxi and select the Threat Intelligence Taxi. So to do this, as a user, you must have security reader role in your subscription. And on the Threat Intelligence Taxi page, scroll down, click on Open Connector page. Here you can read the prerequisite required for you to connect to this workspace. Scroll down till you find Configuration and give these details. So under Friendly Name for the server, we're gonna provide a ransomware IPs. Under API root URL, I'm gonna provide this anomaly taxi feed. Collection ID, I'm gonna put 135. Username guest, give a password, I'm gonna call it guest. Import indicators, all available. And polling frequency, change from once in an hour to once in a minute. After that, click on add. This is going through a validation process. Alright, our taxi connector is also added. So now if you go back to the next steps, here you can see what type of content is available for this connector. So after a couple of minutes, we will be able to see threat intelligence indicator will be populated with IOCs from anomalies feed. Alright, so we completed lab 2. We connected all 3 connectors. In this lab, we are going to go through the analytics rules, which is part of Azure Sentinel. And I'm going to show you how to create different types of rules. These rules are known as security detections. As part of it, let's go and start the first exercise, which is Analytics Rules Overview. So go back to your home page, go to your Microsoft Sentinel, click on your workspace. On your Microsoft Sentinel page, on the left-hand navigation pane, scroll down. Under Configuration, click on Analytics. This is where you would be able to see all your analytics. Here, select rule templates. Here, you can view all the rule templates that's shipped with the product. So let's go to the rule filter. In the rule template, go to add a filter and select data sources. Under data sources, open the values. I'm going to uncheck select all, and I'm going to try to find security event. So select security events via legacy agent and hit apply. And here you can see all the analytic rules on the above data source. So similarly, you can actually go and filter more values here based on your choice. You would be able to see the results. Additionally, you can search for a rule here as well. So I'm going to search for rare RDP connections. So here you can check what's the severity of this rule. What's the rule type? It is actually scheduled. The data sources, you can see it is scheduled for Windows Server events and Windows forwarded events preview. Tactics is lateral movement and techniques. Additionally, if you want to create your own rule, so click on create schedule query rule. Provide a name for your rule. You can specifically mention the tactics, severity, status, and you can specify your own rule logic as well. Under the set rule logic page, you have the ability to create or modify the rule KQL query, control the entity mapping, and define the scheduling and loop back time range. All of this is possible under this page. You can change the incident settings and automated response. After creating that, you can simply click on review and create. So that's the example what we have seen here. So this is one of these types of rule template which is created. These are the rule templates provided by default. In the next exercise, we are going to learn how to enable Microsoft Incident Creation Rule. So let's go and do that. So within this analytics page, this time go to create and click on that and select Microsoft Incident Creation Rule. So let's create a sample one. Give a name for your rule. I'm going to call it Azure Defender Only Medium and High Alerts. If you want to provide the description, you can provide that. I'm just going to give the same name as the description. Status is enabled. Under Microsoft Security Service, I'm going to select Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Under severity, instead of any, I'm going to select custom, and I'm going to provide high and medium level severity for this rule. If you want to add specific alerts, you can add here, but we are going to click on automated response. So in this automated response page, you can attach automation rule that can generate automation task that can assist your SOC with respective task or security remediation. We will go through this in the later exercise when we go through SOAR lab exercises. So right now, I'm just going to click on cancel, click next for the review, and click on create. So that's how you enable Microsoft Incident Creation Rule. In the next exercise, we're going to review the Fusion rule, which is advanced multi-stage attack detection. So this Fusion rule is a unique kind of detection rule. With Fusion rule, Microsoft Sentinel can automatically detect multi-stage attacks by identifying combinations of anomalous behaviors and suspicious activities that are observed at various stages of the kill chain. So let's go and do that. So we are still in the analytics page. Let's go to the rule templates. I'm going to remove the data sources. Go back to add a filter, select rule type and uncheck select all and only select Fusion and hit apply. So let me quickly show you how to distinguish and review Fusion rule in Microsoft Sentinel. So while on this analytics page, under review templates, go to add a filter. This time you're going to click on rule type and uncheck everything and only select Fusion and hit apply. So in the template screen, you can notice that the tag in use as the rule template enabled by default. So you can select this rule template and you can click on this expand icon, and this will give you an ability to review the data sources in the rule write pane. Here you can see that the severity is high, the type is rule type is Fusion. So to enable these detection, Microsoft recommend that you enable all of these data connectors. After you make the appropriate connection, you would be able to see the data populated over here. Now that we have reviewed the Fusion rule, in the next task, or the exercise, we are going to create a custom analytics rule. Let's go and do that. So let's assume that your security consultant notify you about this thread, and based on the attack vector and the organization risk, he recommended that you create detection rule for this malicious activity. In this exercise, we are going to learn about how to create analytics rule to create new detection. So ideally what you would do is you would go through this article or the person who contacted you to understand what is the data source that will be part of this detection. So after you identify what is that detection strategy, you can go back to your Sentinel portal. Under Microsoft Sentinel, go and click on logs. Here you can either select a query pack by going into these categories and simply click on run, and basically when you run these queries, you will get this value returned. So in our case, we're going to run our own custom query. So we're going to run this query to see the list of activities Microsoft Sentinel captured in the last 24 hours. So click on run. So here under the result tab, you can see all the values which is returned based on the query we have run. So if you notice here, you can see the new inbox rule operation, which is indeed captured in your logs. So now this is the operation we are looking for. So now let's go back to analytics page. So under configuration, click on analytics, click OK, click on create and click on scheduled query rule. Give a name for your rule. I'm going to call it malicious inbox rule custom. Give a description for your rule. So this rule is detecting on delete all traces of phishing email from user mailboxes. Under tactics, select persistence and defense evasion. Under severity, I'm going to keep it medium. Click on set rule logic. In the rule logic page, this is where you can add your own query. So because I do have the query for this lab, I'm going to paste it simply. And on the right hand side, we can view the rule creation estimation by pressing test with current data. If you click this, we can see if we can see any number of hits. So as you can see that our query is running anyways. So you can see average per alert per day is 0.1. Under the alert enrichment, expand the entity mapping section. This will allow us to map our fields to well-known categories. So in the entity type, this is where you would be able to see all the supported list of entities. So I'm going to select account. Under identifier, select full name, and under value, we are going to map it to originating server or servers. And we can add one more entity. Here we're going to add an entity. Under the entity name, I'm going to select IP. In the identifier, select the address. And under value, we're going to select client IP addresses. Let's add one more entity. I'm going to call host, identifier, full name, value, originating servers. So we're going to get the account name, IP address, and the host full name. To make this rule a little more effective, let's go to the alert details and let's create a custom. Let's go and create a custom alert name format. Give a name. Under query scheduling, I'm going to run this query every 5 minutes, change it to minutes, and lookup data to last 12 hours. So because this is a lab environment, I'm just providing these values, but in the real environment, the scheduling will be totally depending upon the ideal for your production environment, and you should tune this based on your requirement. Under suppression, I'm going to leave it off. Now next, press the incident settings. So if your SOC is under stress, you want to reduce the number of alerts and be sure that when analysts handle a specific incident, he or she will see all related events or other incidents related to the same attack story. For that, we will implement alert grouping feature. So let me quickly show you how you can do the alert grouping. So go under alert grouping and instead of disabled, click on enabled. So we're going to modify the limit, the group of alerts created. Instead of 5, I'm going to select to 12 hours. So I'm going to change the grouping alerts into single incident if the selected entity types and details match. So it is more refined and controlled. And under entities, we are going to select account. Under alert details, click on name. And next, click on automated response. So if you want to get automated response, this is where you would be able to attach the playbook and attach to your incident automation as well. After making the necessary changes, click on review. Goes through the validation process and hit on create. This is how you will create Microsoft Sentinel custom analytics rule. Now we have learned how to create a custom analytics rule. The last exercise on this lab is to review resulting security incident. So let's go and do that. So go back to your Microsoft Sentinel, select your workspace. To find the incidents under threat management, click on incidents. So we just now created a custom analytics rule. Based on that, we can see a new incident. The new incident is called malicious inbox rule. Select that. To view the details, click on this expand icon, and you can click on view full details to see the entire detail. You can see that this rule is affected on user Adele V. So here we will be able to review the incident preview, and this view will give us the high level overview on the incident and the entity that is related to it. So you can see the entities. Click on this entity list to see which account it is, what's the IP address, what's the host name, etc. To view the entity's full details, click here. And here we get the holistic view of the user entity and all its activities related to this alert. So that's how you will review resulting security incident. Now the lab 4 is about incident management. In this lab exercise, I will guide you through the SOC analyst experience using Microsoft Sentinel's incident management capabilities. So let's go and start with the first exercise. The first exercise, we are going to review Microsoft Sentinel incident tools and capabilities. Let's go and do that. First, go to your Azure portal and click on Microsoft Sentinel. Select the workspace. On the left-hand navigation pane, under Threat Management, click on Incidents. This page will show by default all the open incidents in the last 24 hours. If you want to change the time window and present only incident from a specific severity or to see also closed incident, we can use this filter bar. So let's go and select an incident. Let me quickly reduce the size so we can see more information on the same page. Right, I'm going to select sign in from IPs that attempt sign in. So select that. If you want to see more details, click on this expand icon. So this incident is sign in from IPs that attempt sign ins to disable account incident. So here you can see the incident preview with high level information about what is this incident all about. If you are an SME SOC analyst that deal and investigate tickets, you need to take ownership of this incident. So how can you take ownership? On this panel, you can go to this unassigned and change to unassigned to assigned. So I'm going to assign it to me. So select a user. After selecting a user and hit apply. Also change the status from new to active because you are currently working on it. So click on active and hit apply. Another way to consume incident and also get high level view of the general SOC health is through the security efficiency workbook. So we have two options to open the workbook. The first option is on the top navigation, click on security efficiency workbook. This will open the workbook general view where we will be able to see the overall statistics on the incidents. So here you can get more in-depth detailed information about that incident. Another way is to, let's go back to my Sentinel. After selecting a particular incident, if you scroll down on the navigation page itself, you can see incident workbook. You can click on incident overview. And again, this will open the same workbook on a different tab and present the information and life cycle of the given incident. So as a SOC engineer, you would be spending a lot of time over here in this dashboard reviewing these details. So that's how you will review the Microsoft Sentinel incident tool and capabilities. In the next exercise, we are going to go through handling incident. So we're going to use this sign in from IPs that attempt sign ins to disabled account, the same incident what we seen in the previous example. So let's go and do that. So let's go back to the Microsoft Sentinel page and select the incident we were talking about, which is the sign in from IPs attempt to sign in disabled account. And let's open the incident preview. So this is the preview page. So here we are surfacing the incident entities that belong to this incident. So we already took the ownership of this ticket and we have changed the status to active. If you want to see the full details, you can click on under entities, click on view full details. So if you want to investigate, click on investigate. This will bring the geo IP data and user will notice tags being added. I'm going to go back to the incident page. Let's go to the alerts tab. Here on this alert tab, you can press the number of the events and this will redirect you to the raw logs that will present the alert evidence to support the investigation. So under results, if you expand the received event, and if you review the column and data we received, this information will help us to decide if the incident is correlated to other events. So you can check if the disabled account set, and you can gain some meaningful information. To get more context of this IP, we want to add geo IP enrichment. In real life SOC, this operation will run automatically. For this lab, we are going to run it manually. So let's go back to the incident. Click on this breadcrumb, click OK. Scroll down to the right hand side and click on View Playbooks. And here we will be able to see Get Geo from IP and Tag Incident. After finding this, hit on Run. If the playbook is configured correctly, this should finish in a couple of seconds. As you can see that the playbook was triggered successfully. Now let's go back to the incident tab. Go back to Microsoft Sentinel. I'm going to quickly close this, expand this, go under incidents. Here you can notice there is a new tag available, the first one. So if you scroll to the right hand side, you can see that new tags has been added to this incident. So if you want to review the execution steps, what you performed in the playbook, you can view this information by going into Sentinel, search your workspace, and under threat management, click on workbooks. Here you can click on My Workbooks and select the investigation insight. To open the investigation insights, click on View Saved Workbook. So here you can validate the information by making sure that you select the appropriate selectors. As the subject of investigation is suspicious IP from North Korea, we want to see all the activities done by the IP. So in the properties selector, we are going to the entity insights. In the investigative IP address tab, enter the IP address. Here under active accounts, we can see many successful logins from this IP with the user Adele, and also some failed logins to disabled account in the past days and hours. Now let's go back to the main incident page and let me quickly show you how you can create an automation rule. So let's go back to Sentinel. I'm going to click on incidents, select the incident. Select this incident, which is sign in from IPs that attempt sign in from disabled account. And on the preview page, if you scroll down under actions, here you can click on create automation rule. So here we will be able to see all the incident identifiers, the IP, the specific analytics rules. After reviewing this, if you want to add more or modify something, you can modify that and hit apply. So that's how you save or create an automation rule. So now we have investigated and gone through this incident. As a SOC representative or SOC user or analyst, if you have done the proper analysis, you can go back to the preview page. Under activity, you can click on closed and you can provide a feedback and provide a classification and the comment and hit apply. That's how you handle an incident as a SOC analyst. Now let's go through another exercise to show you how you can handle another incident. So let's go back to the Azure page, and this time we are going to select another incident. This is Solarigate Network Beacon. So I'm going to change from unassigned to assign it to me. Select the user and I'm going to hit apply to assign it to myself. So let's read the description of the incident. So incident identifies a match across various data fields for domain IOCs related to the Solarigate incident. So as you can see, one of the domain IOCs related to Solarigate attack has been found. In this case, the domain is avsvmcloud.com. So let's click on view full details to check the details of the entity. Here you can see this is the domain which is affected. To view the full details, to drill down, click on timeline, select, and we can investigate this raw event that triggered this alert. To investigate further, you can scroll down under events. You can click on link to LA. Here you can see more details about it. As you can see, the events were originated in Cisco Umbrella DNS, and the analytic rule uses Microsoft Sentinel information to normalize these events from any DNS source. So that's a quick example on how you can handle these sort of incidents. In the next exercise, we're going to learn how to hunt for more evidence. So let's go and do that. So I'm going to go back to my Sentinel homepage, click on the workspace. This time under threat management, we're going to select hunting. So select that. close. So let's imagine a scenario. And in this scenario, you would like to identify the host that might have been compromised. As part of the research, you find this guidance from Microsoft. In this article, you find a query that will do a SolarWinds inventory check query. So we will use this query to find any other affected host. So let's go back to the Microsoft Sentinel hunting page. In the search query box, type in SolarGate. Here you can select the SolarGate inventory check, and on the right hand side you can scroll down and you can click on run query. Now if you go back on top of the page, you can see there are 3 results. To view the results, again you need to scroll back down and click on view results. So select all the results, and I'm going to quickly expand, and let's quickly browse through these endpoints. So here, as you can see, besides the client PC, there are 2 additional computers where the malicious DLL and named pipe has been found. So to bookmark all of this, select all of these records and add a bookmark. In the hunting bookmark page, click on create to create the bookmarks. So hit create. Alright, so the bookmarks are created successfully. Let's go back to our incident page. Let's go back to our hunting data, and this time you would be able to see your bookmarks. So click on my bookmarks and select all of these records. Go under incident actions. You can click on add to existing incident. From the list, I'm going to check the owner, and I'm going to pick assign to me. Okay. And I'm going to assign it to my incident. So at this point, you can ask the operation team to isolate the host affected by this incident. In the next exercise, we are going to add IOCs to threat intelligence. So let's go back to Microsoft Sentinel, click on your workspace, go back to incidents, select the SolarGate incident, and I'm going to view all details or view all. Go under entities. Let's copy the IP address. So I'm going to quickly copy the IP address. Let's go back to the incident. As you can notice here, you have now more computer entities available, and these are coming from the bookmarks we created in the last exercise. Now let's go back to Microsoft Sentinel. Under threat management, this time go to threat intelligence and click on add new and select IPv4 address. Give the IP address we copied from the incident. Threat type as malicious activity. I'm going to provide description as associated with SolarGate campaign. Name, I'm going to provide malicious IP and the IP address. Confidence rating, I'm going to put 90. Provide validity and hit apply. That's how you add an IOC to threat intelligence. And the last exercise on this lab is to learn how to hand over incident. So let's go and do that. So in this exercise, we are going to learn how to prepare the incident for handover to forensics team. So let's go back to incidents, select an incident. So I'm going to select the SolarGate network incident. Under preview tab, I'm going to scroll down and click on view all. This is where you would be able to see the full details. What we are going to do is we are going to move to the comments tab. This is where you would be able to tell them. You would ideally be as descriptive as possible and provide as much information as possible. Put on comment, and at this point, you would be handing over this incident to the forensic team. In this lab, we are going to go through hunting. The first exercise is learning how you can do hunting on a specific mitre technique. Let's go to your Azure portal and select Microsoft Sentinel and your workspace. Go under threat management and click on hunting. So we are going to learn how to go through a proactive threat hunting procedure, and we will review Microsoft Sentinel's rich hunting features. So let's assume one of your security researchers shared this following article describing the techniques used in the SolarWinds supply chain. This is identifying UNC 2452 related techniques for attack. Based on this article, our SOC lead understands that to be able to see the full picture of the attack campaign and spot anomalies on our dataset, we need to run a proactive threat hunt based on the mitre tactics and techniques described in this article. In this article, we can see that it highlights the mitre attack techniques and the corresponding tools and methods. So in this exercise, we are going to focus on T1098. To to get a greater understanding of this technique, you can review this article. So let's go back to our Azure portal. Make sure you are within hunting, and in the hunting page, we can see Microsoft Sentinel provides a built-in hunting queries to kickstart the proactive hunting processes. So the top bar is known as the metric bar. Here we can see statistics about how many queries are active and require data sources to run in your environment. And there are also metrics showing how many queries have been run. And there are metrics which is showing how many queries have been run in during your current session and how many of these queries produced results. And we can also see the count of number of live stream results and bookmarks created during the hunting processes. Right on top, this is known as the action menu or the action bar. Here we can find the run all queries button. If you click on this button, this will run all the active queries. When you do that, you need to be aware that it is going to take a lot of time depending on the number of queries and the amount of log data being queried. So to get the results faster, it helps you to filter down the set of queries to specific set which you need to run. To run a specific query, go under queries, click on add filter and select the filter and make sure you select techniques. Under techniques, you can see all of the techniques. What we are interested today is to find T1098. So let's go and uncheck everything and only select T1098 and hit apply. That is going to filter only the queries which are related to these particular techniques. And if you want to run all of these queries, you can simply select all of these queries, the selected queries, and you can run them by batch. So you can click on run selected queries and that is going to run these queries. Alright, so we selected all of these queries. Make sure that you select when do you want to search these queries for. Oops, I'm going to select all of these queries, last 48 hours, and the technique is T1098, which is account manipulation. And this account, if you notice, it is changed from run all queries to run selected queries now. And now, after making the right choice of when do you want to run it, click this to run these selected queries. So you can see that number of queries is been running and the values are changing. And out of that, you can see there is a result in one of these queries. So 21 queries ran and we have one result. Based on the query we ran, we can see the results on this screen. So if you go through these queries we ran, you can pay attention to the results tab here. And I'm just scrolling through these queries to find if we can find the one which has the result. And I don't see, yep. So towards the bottom, I found a query which is called adding credentials to legitimate or the application. This query returned us with some results. So I'm going to select that. So click on that query. And on this panel here, I'm going to quickly expand it. So here you can see that there is 5 results available for this query. So I'm going to quickly scroll down and I'm going to hit on view results. This is going to navigate us to the log analytics screen to view the hunting query content. So to view the results, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly hit on this run command. So now on the log screen, after we run this hunting query finishes executing, we can see all the data that is returned with the parsed fields and columns. From a high level overview, we can see that we have the actor IP and username that run these operations. So we can see more details by just clicking on this expand icon. And here we will be able to spot the Azure AD application name, the added key name, the type of IP, username of the actor, and other relevant information that help us understand the specific action. So now our SOC analyst needs to know which application from all of the above result set is critical and has a security risk. So one way to do that is to open the Azure Active Directory for each application from the hunting result. Check their permissions and validate the risk. And our SOC analyst follows the organization knowledge base that guides him to review a list of all the Azure AD application with their risk level. So let's go and open another log screen. You can do that by clicking on this plus symbol, and this will open a new search tab where you can run the query. So if you want to basically get the high risk app, all you have to do is run a query, something similar to it, and hit run. Based on the risk found in these applications, you would be able to see the results here on this result tab. Now that we have learned on hunting on a specific mitre technique, the next task we are going to learn about bookmarking hunting query results. So let's go and learn that. So while reviewing query results in log analytics, we can use Microsoft Sentinel's bookmark feature to store and enrich these results. And we can extract entity identifiers and then use these entity pages and the investigation graph to investigate the entity. We can add tags and notes to the results, say why it is interesting, things like that. Bookmark will also preserve the query and time range that generated the specific row result, so the analyst can reproduce the query in the future. So to bookmark it, go to your logging or logs screen. From this log screen, go to your results tab and select one or two of these rows and check these. You would be able to see that add bookmark item become highlighted or available. So I'm gonna quickly select one of it and click on add bookmark. So here on the bookmark pane, you can modify any of this. You can add a new name. I'm gonna add sample. Under the entity mapping, here you can select different entities instead of account. If you want to tag it to something else, you can do that. So let's just assume if I want to tag it to IP address, I just select IP and I can modify these classes. After making the appropriate or necessary changes, you can click on create. That's how you can bookmark these items. Now that we have learned about bookmarking, the last exercise in this lab is to learn how to promote a bookmark to an incident. So let's go and learn that. So let's go back to our hunting page. I'm going to go back to my Sentinel. Here under threat management, go to hunting. This time go to bookmarks and select any of these bookmarks. So I'm going to select the one which we created just now. So when you select a bookmark, it actually opens a preview page on the right hand side. So go to the preview page and scroll down to the bottom until you find investigate. So click on this investigate button. So this is how you can investigate a bookmark using the investigation graph at the same way that you can investigate an incident. So to create an incident, I'm going to go back to the Sentinel and this time go back right on top. Under the bookmark name, select this drop down. So the first step is to make sure you select the incident, and right on top of the action bar, you can see incident actions. Select the drop down and click on create new incident. This is how you would be able to create a new incident. And here you have another option to attach the bookmark to an existing incident as well. So let's select a user, provide some description and make sure you change it to the right severity. I'm going to change it to high. And after making all the necessary changes, click on create. Now that your incident is created, to view the newly created incident, you can go under threat management. This time click on incidents. Here you can see the newly created incident with the severity high and which is assigned to a user you selected. In this case, you have assigned to yourself. So that's the end of lab 5. And in this lab, we learned about hunting a specific technique, bookmarking hunting query, and promoting a bookmark to an incident. In this lab exercise, we are going to learn how to use Microsoft Sentinel, Watchlist in event correlation and enrichment. Once created, you can use Watchlist in your search, detection rules, threat hunting, and response playbooks. The first exercise is we are going to learn how to create a watchlist. So let's go and do that. So to create a watchlist, let's go to Microsoft Sentinel. Within that, select your workspace. And on the left-hand navigation plane, scroll down under configuration, hit on select watchlist. Before creating this watchlist, let's assume a scenario. Let's assume you have received a message from your SOC manager informing you about a penetration test exercise being performed over the next few weeks. Your manager also informs you that the SIM is already seeing a bunch of incidents for IP addresses used by the penetration test team. These incidents all come from the rule The rule name is high count of connections by client IP on many ports, which identifies when 30 or more ports are used for a given client IP in 10 minutes occurring on the IaaS server. Your manager also provides you with the CSV file, and the CSV file includes the list of IP addresses involved in the penetration exercise. So now we have the context. Keep this context in your mind when you go through the next exercise. So let's go back to our Azure portal. Under watch list, we're gonna create a new watch list. So click on create new. First give a name. So I'm gonna call it pen test IP addresses. Provide a meaningful description. I'm gonna give it as IP addresses used during penetration tests. And you need to provide a alias as well. I'm gonna use the same name as what we have given. Click on source. Next, under source file, I'm gonna select local file and the file type is CSV. And I just downloaded this raw file. So I'm gonna go to my local directory and upload it. Under search key, select IP addresses and click on review and create and click on create. So after creating, you will be brought back to the watch list screen. And if you minimize this preview and select the watch list which you created and then expand the preview, you can see the details about the newly created watch list. So right now, when I expand this preview option, I'm not able to see any row details. Ideally, it should take about 1 to 2 minutes for this data to be available in the workspace. So we need to wait until the row number changes from 0 to 6 to proceed further. Alright, it took me more than 1 minute for this value to reflect to 6. I haven't done anything else apart from waiting for some time and hitting this refresh button multiple times. We can see this row have changed from 0 to 6. Let's go to the log file. So to go to the log file, you can scroll down and click on view in logs. So here you will be able to run this get watch list alias, and which will return all the defined watch list. So that's how you can create a watch list and get more information out of your watch list. In the next exercise, we're going to learn watch list IP addresses in the analytics rule. So let's go and do that. So I'm going to close this log page, click OK, and go back to your Microsoft Sentinel main homepage. This time under configuration, instead of watch list, you have to click on analytics. So within this analytics page, we can see all the active rules. So we're going to search for one particular rule. To do that, click on first rule templates and use the search box to type. We are looking for high count of connections. So this is the rule we are looking for. So select that rule. So this rule is known as high count of connection by client IP on many ports. So after selecting the rule, scroll down on the review page. Towards the bottom, you will be able to see create rule. So hit on create rule. Within this rule, let's go to the set rule logic and expand this query window. I'm gonna add one extra KQL statement that brings the IP address field from the pen test address. So this is the line I just now added. Now we have to add a where statement. So for that, I am going to find where. Let's expand the query page. So the where statements are here. So I'm gonna add one more. So I've added this where statement to discard records where the client IP address, which is CIP field, matches one of the IP addresses in the watch list. Alright, so now we have made this change. I'm gonna go back to the main page, close this window, and you can go through other settings here. And if you do want to test this, you can test this on the current data. So this is where the simulation happens. And depending on the query, this would take some time. And after making all the necessary changes, you can go to the review button and click on create. Alright, so that's the end of the exercises on watchlist. In this lab exercise, we are going to learn about threat intelligence. So we will learn how to use Sentinel threat intelligence features and product integration points. During this module, we will rely on the threat intelligence data that we investigated in the lab 2. So the lab 2 was, let's go back to lab 2. Lab 2 was data connectors. So the first exercise is threat intelligence data connectors. So let's go and do that. So go back to your Microsoft Sentinel homepage, scroll down on the left-hand navigation pane. Under configuration, click on data connectors. So within the data connection page, we are going to search for threat intelligence platforms. So type in threat intelligence and you get two values. One is threat intelligence taxi and another one is threat intelligence platforms. So we're going to select the threat intelligence platforms. So select that. On the right hand side preview page, scroll down to the bottom and click on open connector page. Here you can see the prerequisites. You can see that to enable this connector, the user need to be global admin or security administrator in the current Azure AD tenant. And here you can see the configuration details, how you can connect your threat intelligence data sources to Microsoft Sentinel. So you can use third-party solutions like Palo Alto or MindMeld or Threat Connects or others to configure this. So scroll down to the bottom, and after making all the necessary prerequisites for this connector, you can simply click on connect. Now the next exercise is to explore the threat intelligence menu. So let's go and do that. So I'm going to go back to Microsoft Sentinel. Under the overview pane, click on logs and close the default window. Microsoft Sentinel built-in tables have predefined schema. So to be able to see the threat intelligence indicator schema, we are going to run this command. Click on run this command. So under the result table, if you expand it, you can see the values are returned, and you can use this result window to get the details result on the specific IOC being active or not. You can have a closer look into all of these details by going through these results. So after we ingested our threat intelligence data into our threat intelligence indicator table, our task is to review how our SOC can leverage and manage the TI menu to allow us to search, tag, and manage the lifecycle of IOCs. So to do that, let's go back to your Microsoft Sentinel. On the left-hand navigation pane, click on Threat Intelligence under Threat Management. This menu ID is a visual representation of Threat Intelligence Indicator table. So if you select one IOC from the main page, and you can notice that on the right hand pane, it is changed accordingly and present the metadata of the selected IOC. If you hide this preview button, on the top area of the main blade, we can filter the list of IOCs based on specific parameters. In our case, we only ingested one type of IOC IP, but the type filter will allow us to filter based on different types. If we ingested IOCs from multiple threat intelligence data sources, the sources filter allow us to slice it. Now let's go and add a new threat intelligence IOC manually in Microsoft Sentinel threat intelligence menu. So to do that, on the top of the menu, click on add new, and this will open the new indicator dialog. So here under types, select URL. Under URL, give a URL which you want to add and click on add tag. This will help us to add metadata on the IOC. In our example, we want to add the tag. This IOC will be associated to an incident ID. I'm going to type in incident 4326 and click OK. We have an ability to add threat types as well. So click on add threat types. I'm going to call it as malicious IP. Click OK. You can add a description and set a confidence level, and you can modify the date when it is valid from and valid until, and hit apply. So if you notice, this is the newly created IOC on the threat intelligence menu. So click on that and you can expand the preview button to see the details we have given. So to delete an IOC, all you have to do is again select it and click on delete, and make sure you select the confirmation to complete the process. In the next exercise, we will review the analytics rules types we have in Microsoft Sentinel that correlate with our ingested threat intelligence. So let's go back to our Microsoft Sentinel homepage. This time on the left-hand navigation pane, scroll down under configuration, click on analytics. Under analytics, let's go to the rule templates tab. Click on add a filter and select data sources. Under data sources, I'm gonna unselect everything and scroll down until I find threat intelligence. So click on these two threat intelligence. One is taxi, another one is platforms, and hit apply. Now you can see a long list of resulting alert templates, and these all will correlate your different data sources with IOCs present in your threat intelligence table. To detect any trace of malicious indicators of compromise in your organization log, you can see more information about these rules by selecting one of these. And as you may know that it is free to enable analytics rules in Microsoft Sentinel. So the best practice is to enable all the ones that apply the data sources that you are ingesting. So now let me show you how you can review and enable threat intelligence matching analytics rules. And I'm going to select a threat intelligence rule map and click on this preview button. So here you can notice there are different data sources available for each of these rule type. To create a rule, all you have to do is scroll down to the bottom and click on create a rule. And after making the necessary changes, you can click on review and create to create this rule. The last exercise in this lab is to know about threat intelligence workbook. Workbooks provide powerful interactive dashboards that give you insight into all aspects of Microsoft Sentinel. So let's learn how you can look into workbook and create one for yourself. So go back to your Azure portal, select Microsoft Sentinel, go to your workspace, and under threat management, this time select workbooks. Here make sure you are under templates and search for threat intelligence. When you get the results, make sure you scroll down and select threat intelligence from Microsoft. Here on the right hand preview pane, you can click on view template or you can click on view saved workbook. So I'm going to click on view saved workbook. Make sure you save it once. When saving, make sure you select the region which is closer to you. That's where you would be able to save and edit and modify these workbooks. So here you would be able to find some pre-built visualizations that show you the indicators imported into Sentinel over time. This is based on by type and provider. So to modify or add a new chart, all you have to do is go on top of the page and click on this edit button. And to add a new chart, all you have to do is go scroll down to the bottom of the page, click on add and click on add a query. I'm going to quickly run this query to find the threat intelligence indicator and summarize the count by threat type and change the visualization to bar chart. And after making the necessary changes, click on done editing. Now you can see that this threat intelligence indicators is displayed in a bar chart format. After making all the necessary changes, you can click on save. Alright, so that's the end of lab exercise 7, which was all around threat intelligence. The last lab exercise is to learn about Microsoft Sentinel Content Hub. In this lab, we will learn how to use Microsoft Sentinel Content Hub to discover and deploy new content. The first exercise is exploring Microsoft Sentinel Content Hub. So let's go and explore it. So within your Microsoft Azure portal, go to your Sentinel and make sure you select the right workspace. On the left hand navigation pane, under Content Management, click on Content Hub. Under the search box, search for Cloudflare and select. This is how you would be able to select a solution. In this instance, we selected a Cloudflare solution. On the right hand side, you would be able to see the information about all these solutions. So here you can read about what is this Cloudflare solution all about. You can again see the details like the category, pricing, content types, solution provider, version, and who supports it, etc. In this instance, in our case, this is a free solution by Microsoft. So I'm going to click on install. So on the install page also, you can see more details about this solution. Here you can notice that there are different artifacts that are included in this solution. Data connector, parser, workbook, analytics rules, and hunting queries. And each solution can contain a different set of artifacts. Now we know that how to explore a solution within the Microsoft Sentinel Content Hub. Let's learn how to deploy a new solution. So to deploy a new solution, I'm going to go back to Microsoft Sentinel, scroll down till you find the Content Hub. And here I'm going to search for a new solution for Dynamics. Select the solution. This solution is known as Continuous Threat Monitoring for Dynamics 365. After reading the necessary information, click on Install. To include this solution, click on Create. So to deploy it, make sure you select the right subscription. The resource group where you want to deploy it, I'm going to keep it under the Sentinel resource group. The location where you want to deploy and give a workspace. So I'm going to select the Sentinel workspace. Click Next. Here under the web books, you can see the display name of the web book, how it is going to reflect in your Sentinel. Click next for analytics. Here you can notice the different analytics rules that will be added to your workspace. Next, you can see the hunting queries. And after reviewing all of these details, you can click next and click on review and create. And after the validation, click on create. And this will kick off the deployment. The deployment time of these solutions depends and varies based on the type of connectors and the type of solutions which is part of that solution. Alright, looks like our deployment is completed. Now that we have learned about how to deploy a new solution, let's go and review and enable this deployed artifacts. I'm going to go back to my home page, go to Sentinel, select the right workspace, and on the left-hand navigation pane, go under configuration and click on analytics. Here under the active rules, search for Dynamics or D365. Here you can see these rules and notice these rules are in the disabled state. In the real world environment, you would need to enable them to make it work. So now let's go back to the workbooks. So go under thread management and click on workbooks and click on my workbooks. And here you can see the Dynamics 365 workbook. Similarly, if you go under hunting, click on hunting under queries. Here you will be able to see the newly created hunting queries. And you can see these two new queries that use data coming from Dynamics 365. Alright, so that's the end of this exercise. And I hope the information provided in this exercise and the lab series was helpful. I will see you on the next one. Until then, take care.